I am a 10-and-a-half-year breast cancer survivor and thriver and graduate. I'm all of the above. I want to tell you my story because I'd like you to take some nuggets of wisdom away, and maybe they'll help you. Throughout my 30s, I've always been into health and wellness and fitness and preventative medicine, and so I decided that I was going to do breast exams because I heard they were important and I was going to do them every month, and so I did. I knew my breasts, I knew what was normal and what would be abnormal. Then, when I was 41 years old, I went to my GP and I asked for a mammogram because in my province they were starting mammograms at 50. Some provinces in Canada will start them at 40, but mine was at 50. And I had heard in the States that all women were getting mammograms at 40. So I asked her for one. I told her that I had sadly had 3 friends who had died of breast cancer. They were very young when they were diagnosed. They were in their late 30s, mid to late 30s in being diagnosed, and then they died in their early to mid 40s. So it was a worry of mine. She was empathetic, and she sent me to a hospital to have a mammogram. So I had the mammogram, and after it was done, because I was such a voracious reader of all things medical, I knew about breast density and the risk of having breast cancer if you have dense breasts. So I asked the technician at the end, I said, are my breasts dense? And she looked at me and she said, well, on the denser side, which meant nothing to me. I mean, really, I didn't know what to do with that information, and frankly, I just didn't know what you do if you have dense breasts anyway. So it was a long time ago. So I went on my way, and a year and a half later, oh, and by the way, that mammogram was negative. A year and a half later, I'm on vacation, and I'm in the bathroom changing, and I happened to glance up at my left breast, which I didn't have clothes on. I was bending down, and I saw that my left breast had a dimple in it. And that was worrisome to me. I knew that was not a good thing. So I did a self-exam right in that bathroom, and I found a very small, hard lump. Of course, my vacation wasn't as great as it could have been, and I was at the doctor immediately when I got home. She ordered a mammogram and an ultrasound, and it was going to take weeks to get that. So I found myself in my city, a rapid diagnostic clinic at a wonderful cancer hospital, and I had a mammogram almost right away. After the mammogram, I was expecting them to come out and say to me, this isn't looking good. We found something. But in fact, the technician said, you can go. And I said, I'm okay. And she said, yeah, you're fine. The radiologist looked at it and there's nothing there. Well, I was relieved and I was euphoric, and my husband was waiting for me, and we went out to lunch and we celebrated. And then later that afternoon I got home, and I just started feeling that this wasn't right, that I had seen something and there had been dimpling. In all fairness, I couldn't find the lump when I went to the mammogram. I think I was so stressed out, and it wasn't easy to find. So they had assumed it wasn't there. But this negative thing did not make sense to me. So I called the clinic, and the nurse agreed to let me have an ultrasound in 2 days. I went in, and the rest is history. The doctor came in, and she did the pass over my breast and with the ultrasound, and she immediately said, this does not look good. It looks like cancer. And I was in shock. She said, I would like to do a biopsy in 10 to 15 minutes. Would you like me to do that? I can freeze you and I'll come right back and do it. And I said, yes, please. That was all I could say. So she came back in and she did the ultrasound, or the biopsy, and She immediately knew. She said, this is very bad, and I need to get you an MRI in 2 days, and I need you to see a surgeon immediately. We need to get this out. So I had a MRI in 2 days. It was cancer. I went to a surgeon. Very quickly I had a surgery, and we thought it was just going to be a lumpectomy, but it ended up that it was in my lymph node. So that was that meant that I had to have all 16 nodes out, even though it was just my first sentinel node had a micrometastasis. So I was stage 2, and I know that doesn't sound great, but I'll tell you, I don't think if I hadn't have really known my breasts, known what to look for, I don't think they would have found it at stage 2. I think if you can learn anything from me, it's if you get a mammogram, ask your density. And if you have dense breasts, you need to be extra vigilant about breast exams. And I know they'll tell you, oh, you don't have to do breast exams because breast exams give you so much anxiety, and it's just an extra stressor, and then there's unnecessary tests. But I'll tell you what would give you real anxiety is if you went in to your doctor and they said to you, I'm sorry, you're late stage. I was still early stage, stage 2, because I was checking my breast. I knew what to look for. I followed up. I wasn't afraid to follow up. I just think you have to be really, really diligent. Do your breast exams. Keep that in your arsenal. Have your mammogram. Mammograms are very good. It's just they fail women with dense breasts. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So be diligent, and maybe you'll be as lucky as me, who is here 10.5 years later.